Okay. Don't panic. It's here. We now have ourselves word from Frank Seravalli on dailyfaceoff.com that the Vancouver Canucks are officially in the mix for one Carolina Hurricanes and former Pittsburgh Penguins forward, Jake Guentzel. Now, this should not be a surprise to anybody who has been paying attention to the Vancouver news cycle, who has been taking a look at the free agents to be, who's going to be available, who could sign, where. Because the Vancouver Canucks, Patrick Allvin, Jim Rutherford, they're used to this guy. They know what he's about. They like his profile. They were the ones that initially gave him a chance to be a Pittsburgh Penguin back in the mid-2010s. And eventually, Jake Guentzel became the guy that we know as today. Over point per game stud, consistent point producer. This season, he had 25 points in 17 games with the Hurricanes in the regular season and 9 points in 11 games in the playoffs. He is yet another one of these Carolina guys that the Vancouver Canucks are reportedly interested in. Alongside of Marty Necas, of course. And I guess you could say Jalen Chatfield too, but he was a defenseman. It's kind of different. He signed already. It's a little bit different there, but when it comes to the latest scoop on Jake Guentzel, let's go over to Frank Seravalli's latest article. Vancouver Canucks expected to make strong play for Jake Guentzel in free agency. Gee, I wonder what this article is going to be about. The clock is ticking. The Stanley Cup has not yet been awarded, but we are now 12 days away from the opening of free agency on July 1st. And when the clock strikes 12 noon Eastern on Canada Day, expect the Vancouver Canucks to make a strong play for pending free agent forward Jake Guentzel. They won't be alone, as there are more than a handful of teams expected to be in the mix for the Stanley Cup winning winger. If the Maple Leafs trade Mitch Marner, they could be players, as well as the Florida Panthers if they are not re-signing Sam Reinhart. There will also be teams such as the Capitals or maybe even the Rangers if they can find requisite cap space. Now, this is, of course, a nice introduction. It talks about the rest of the teams. Toronto, great. Mitch Marner, trade. Doesn't really look like he's going to get traded anymore. It's really funny. And then you have yourselves the Florida Panthers. If they don't sign Sam Reinhart again, oh boy, that's going to be crazy. I mean, if he wins a Stanley Cup later today, then okay, I guess it doesn't matter. But still, that is something that I don't feel comfortable thinking about nowadays. Sam Reinhart, no longer a Florida Panther. That just feels weird. Nonetheless, sources have been percolating that the Vancouver Canucks might present the best mix of money and opportunity right out of the gate. There is a familiarity there, as Guentzel played for Rick Tocchet as an assistant coach in Pittsburgh and under Rutherford and Allvin in the Steel City, not to mention the strength and training staff. Yeah, come over to Vancouver, baby. Not even just Tocchet, not just Allvin and Rutherford, but look at these guys. Sergei Gonchar, I get it, he's not a forward, I mean, whatever, it's a defense thing, but still, another Pittsburgh Penguins guy. Even the guys up front, you've got the Sedin twins. Imagine Jake Guentzel learning how to pick up passes and dish them out through the legs and off the boards like Hank and Dank. I'm telling you, man, if Jake Guentzel gets an opportunity to play alongside of Elias Pettersson for the next 8 years, pretty much, that seems like something that may spark out the best Canucks duo on the ice since Pettersson and Boeser? Okay, maybe better than Pettersson and Boeser since Hank and Dank, let's say in 2015. I get it, Hank and Dank had better seasons than the 2015 year, but they were still one of the top duos, and they were both individually top players in the league at that point. You just got to remember that league scoring was down quite a lot in that season. But yeah, no, Pettersson and Boeser was a great duo. Miller and Boeser this previous year was an awesome duo. 40 goals, 100 points, Boeser and Miller, of course, respectively. Rick Tocchet always talked about that, you know? Last year, heading into the season, he said he wants to talk about duos. That's the idea. He wants to have two guys and an extra. Dakota Joshua, Connor Garland, that's a duo. Miller Boeser, that's a duo. Pettersson and should have been Kuzmenko, that was a duo, but it didn't really work out. And then now we're thinking about Jake Guentzel because unfortunately Pettersson and Mikheyev just isn't really a duo that anybody thinks is worth talking about. The article then writes this, that there is also a need. The Canucks pushed the Oilers to 7 games in round 2, but fell short partly because they didn't find a way to get Elias Pettersson engaged, and putting Guentzel on his wing might go a long way in solving for that problem. Yeah, you're telling me. I saw some tweets. Ironically, of course, I think they're ironic, not too sure if people are joking nowadays without sarcasm available on the internet, but Somebody was saying on Twitter, they were like, I blame Elias Pettersson for us having to watch this boring Stanley Cup Finals matchup between the Oilers and the Florida Panthers. And I think they're saying it's boring because the Panthers have just been dominating 3 out of the 4 games so far. And that's one of the things where it's like, yeah, if the Canucks just had Pettersson maybe like 25% better than what he was in that series, if the Canucks just had Hronek maybe 25% better than he was in that series, they maybe win. Who really knows? I mean, they were down by 1 with minutes left in the 3rd period of the final game, a game where they admittedly did not show up for the first 50 minutes, but still, this is what happens when you have talented players. You can force things and you can try to make things work, and when you don't have your talented players playing as talently as they can be, that's when you start to run into problems, and the Vancouver Canucks did that. Pettersson needed a better winger. Or 2. 2 would have been preferable, but still, beggars can't be choosers here, right? And if the Canucks are going to be trying to beg for Jake Guentzel to sign with them, there is also some cap gymnastics that are going to be required in order to make it a reality in Vancouver. They'll need to say goodbye to Lindholm and also likely Joshua, dump Ilya Mikheyev in a trade, then need to find a way to make the money work on their back end with Hronek, Zadorov, and Myers. It won't be easy. Yeah, okay, I get it, Seravalli, you can back off with that. The Canucks are probably going to leave guys like Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov, and the other former Calgary Flames are probably going to have to go to the market, but Jake Guentzel, this is the prize, everybody. This is going to be it, and hopefully the Vancouver Canucks can outbid a team like Toronto or Florida in being able to get this guy onto their squad. I'm thinking about a power play with all of these guys, just thinking about Pettersson, Hughes, Besser, Miller, and then Guentzel. That's pretty good, right? Replace Elias Lindholm with Guentzel. I mean, you could have Brock Besser playing the net front, to be honest. Like, you don't really need him, I would say, in the sniper spot. He doesn't really rip pucks in from distance anymore. Besser scores a lot of really nice goals in tight, and he gets rebounds, and he gets the opportunities in front. That's kind of more what Besser has become. Less of that on-the-rush, north-south sniper, and more of an every situations he can score on any position of the ice on a rebound kind of guy instead. It's a pretty good strategy, honestly. Having Guentzel on the flank, if he can snipe it, then that's great. I mean, that could open up a lot of possibilities offensively for the team. Having multiple shooting threats would be awesome, especially with JT Miller, also with his ability to find the back of the net from distance. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Seravalli confirming here, to the best of his knowledge, that the Vancouver Canucks will be major players in the potential Jake Guentzel sweepstakes. All of this may be for naught, of course. If Guentzel gets traded to some team, he gets his rights sent away, and then he signs for $10 million a year on an 8-year deal to some bottom feeder that just needs guys to fill out their roster. Maybe it's Chicago, maybe it's San Jose, who really knows? But for now, Canucks fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Seravalli also did not mention in this article, I will say, whether or not the Canucks would be interested in trading for Guentzel's rights. It just kind of talks about, hey, he's there. He would probably be a person of interest for the Vancouver team. But yeah, trading for his rights, letting him go to free agency, that's all not really discussed here, but either way, I'll leave a link in the description to the article if you want to go ahead and read. There's a few other things here that are talked about, like the other free agents that are available and how much money they could get. Jake Guentzel is listed here as a potential $9.3 million AAV player by 7 years, which is huge. But he's a lot better than Elias Lindholm, who's probably asking for the same amount of money, to be honest. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Jake Guentzel, Jake the Snake, and him reuniting with some of his old buddies in Pittsburgh with the Vancouver Canucks instead. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.